The Elder's Secret Galactic Council's chamber was silent, except for the low hum of its energy shields. The hall was huge, shaped like a glowing ring, with hundreds of alien ambassadors seated in a perfect circle. In the center stood Captain Rylan, Earth's representative, wearing the navy blue uniform of the Terran Alliance. Today was supposed to be a day of honor. For the first time, humans were invited to meet the Thar'uun, the oldest known species in the galaxy, said to have lived for over 1 billion years. They were rarely seen outside their own territory, and even the most powerful civilizations treated them with respect. The doors at the far end opened, and everyone turned. The Thar'uun elders entered. They were tall, robed figures with pale, almost translucent skin that shimmered like starlight. Their eyes glowed softly, not from light, but from age and knowledge. They walked slowly, their long robes whispering across the polished floor. Captain Rylan took a breath and stepped forward to greet them. But before he could speak, the Thar'uun leader stopped. His eyes, deep pools of silver, fixed on Rylan. The elder raised his hand, and the entire chamber seemed to grow colder. His voice was calm but carried an edge that made even the air feel heavy. "We do not step near Earth." The words were quiet, but they hit the chamber like a shockwave. The other ambassadors looked at each other in confusion. A few even whispered to their aides, unsure if they had heard correctly. Rylan frowned. "I don't understand. We invited you to visit Earth, to share knowledge." The elder cut him off. "We do not step near Earth, and neither should anyone else." The silence that followed was thick, almost painful. Finally, Rylan asked the question that was burning in everyone's mind. "Why?" The elder's eyes narrowed. He stepped closer to Rylan, his voice dropping to a near whisper. But in the silent chamber, everyone could hear. "Because it's not just humans living there." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Representatives from other worlds exchanged uneasy looks. One ambassador's face turned pale, as if the elder's words awakened a memory best forgotten. Rylan felt a chill down his spine. "What do you mean? Who else is there?" The elder straightened his robe, but did not answer directly. Instead, he said, "There are things older than your species, older than your sun. Things that even we fear." Before Rylan could press for more, the Thar'uun delegation turned and began walking toward the exit. The chamber doors opened silently, and they vanished down the glowing corridor without another word. The council erupted into whispers. Some aliens dismissed the warning as superstition, but others looked deeply worried. Rylan knew he needed answers, and he wasn't going to get them here. As he left the chamber, a junior officer from his staff hurried to his side. She was pale, her hands shaking as she handed him a datapad. "Sir, you need to see this." On the screen was a galactic star map. Around Earth's location, there was a large, empty void, a dead zone. No trade routes, no colonies, no patrols. It was as if the galaxy had agreed, without words, to stay away. "This isn't an accident," the officer whispered. "It's been like this for thousands of years." And the Thar'uun's own charts marked the entire sector with one symbol. Rylan looked at the mark, a black circle with 3 sharp lines cutting through it, like claws. He didn't know what it meant, but it felt like a warning dot far above the council station. Beyond the light of its stars, something ancient drifted in the dark. It had no eyes, yet it was watching. It had no voice, yet it had heard every word spoken in the chamber. And now it knew that humans were starting to ask questions. The forbidden truth. Captain Rylan stood alone in his quarters, aboard the Terran Alliance flagship Vigilant. The datapad with the Thar'uun's warning lay on his desk, its strange claw mark symbol glowing faintly. He couldn't sleep. The elder's words echoed in his head. It's not just humans living there. The next morning, Rylan called a private meeting with his most trusted crew members. Commander Silva, Pilot Jace, and Science Officer Dr. Noreen. He kept his voice low. "We're going to Earth," he said. Silva frowned. "Sir, that's not our current mission. It is now," Rylan replied. "The Thar'uun know something about our planet, something no one's telling us. I want answers." The crew didn't argue further. They had served with Rylan long enough to know when he was serious. 3 days later, Vigilance slipped into Earth's orbit without fanfare. Rylan didn't head for the cities or spaceports. Instead, he ordered a course toward the Pacific Ocean, far from any busy shipping lanes. "Coordinates?" Jace asked as he steered the ship. 30,000 meters below sea level, Rylan said, pointing to a remote trench on the map. Dr. Noreen looked surprised. "That's in the Challenger abyss. Nothing's down there except rock and water. At least, that's what we think." The descent was slow. The ship's reinforced submersible mode engaged, lights cutting through the darkness of the deep. The deeper they went, the more the sensors picked up strange readings, faint energy. Pulses like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the sonar pinged. A massive shape appeared on the screen. "Captain." Silva's voice trembled. "That's not a rock." The lights revealed it, a colossal structure resting on the ocean floor. It wasn't built by humans. Its black surface was smooth and seamless, carved with alien symbols that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Rylan ordered them closer. As they approached, the ship's systems flickered. Screens turned static. Lights dimmed. "Something's interfering with US," Noreen said, tapping controls. Then the voices started. They weren't speaking in any known language, but the crew understood them somehow. Images flashed in their minds, an ancient Earth covered in strange cities of light and shadow, ruled by towering beings with eyes like burning stars. One image burned into Rylan's mind. These beings standing over the first humans, not as enemies, but as keepers. The vision faded, and the crew found themselves breathing heavily, as if they had been underwater without air. What was that?" Jace whispered. "History," Rylan said, his voice low. "Our history." Before anyone could react, the structure itself began to move. Massive panels shifted, and an opening appeared at its center. A glow spilled out, soft at first, then brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Captain," Silva warned, "we need to leave. Now." But Rylan didn't move. He was staring into the light. He felt a pull, like invisible hands drawing him closer. From inside the structure, a shape began to emerge, impossibly tall, wrapped in flowing strands of energy. Its face hidden behind a mask of light, every instinct screamed to run. But something deeper told Rylan that if they left now, they would never understand the truth. The figure stepped forward. Its voice wasn't heard in the air, but directly inside their minds. "We never left." The crew froze. Even the air seemed to stop moving. The figure tilted its head, studying them. Then it said something else, something that made Rylan's heart race. "Tell the Thar'uun, we are awake." The structure rumbled, and waves exploded upward toward the surface. The ship's alarms blared. "Pull us out," Rylan shouted. As they raced toward the surface, the captain knew one thing. The galaxy's oldest species had been afraid for a reason. The awakening vigilant burst from the waves into the night sky, water streaming from its hull. Inside, the crew gasped for breath, their hearts still pounding from what they had seen in the deep. The vision, the voice, the ancient figure. It all felt like a dream, but the shaking of the ship reminded them it was real. Captain Rylan stood at the bridge window, staring back at the dark ocean. "They've been here all along," he said quietly. watching us, maybe guiding us. Commander Silva swallowed hard. And now they're awake. Hours later, Earth's moon hung silver over the planet as Vigilant docked at an orbital station. Rylan had sent an urgent signal to the Galactic Council, but the ones who arrived first were not Council members. The Thar'uun fleet appeared out of hyperspace, their ships black and smooth, gliding like shadows across the stars. A single massive vessel broke formation and docked with the station. The Thar'uun elder from the council meeting stepped aboard. He moved with slow, deliberate grace, but his eyes were sharper than before. "You went looking," the elder said, without greeting. Rylan faced him. "We found them." The elder's face tightened. "Then you have doomed us all." "They're not hostile," Rylan replied. "They spoke to us. They remember you." The elder's expression darkened. "That is why we fear them. They do not forget, and they do not forgive." Before Rylan could ask more, alarms sounded across the station. Everyone turned toward the VIEWPORT. Far below, over the Pacific Ocean, light erupted, a massive column of golden energy rising from the sea into space. Within it, a shape began to form, the same towering figure Rylan had seen underwater. The being stepped free of the ocean as if the water were air. It was enormous, so tall that clouds curled around its shoulders. Its eyes blazed like suns, and its body shimmered with moving patterns of light and shadow all across Earth. People stopped and looked to the skies, the Thar'uun elder whispered, almost to himself. "The first ones have returned." The being raised a hand toward the stars. Space itself seemed to bend around its fingers. And then a second figure appeared beside it, slightly smaller but just as radiant. Together, they looked across the galaxy, their gaze piercing the void. Suddenly, every Thar'uun ship in orbit shuddered. Their systems failed, lights flickering out. The elder gripped the edge of the table, his calm mask breaking for the first time. "They're speaking," Silva said, clutching her head. The voice filled every mind. "Human, alien, machine. You kept the humans alive. Good. They will be needed." Rylan felt his breath catch. Needed for what? The elder tried to speak, but stumbled over the words. "This is why we never go near Earth." The being's gaze shifted toward the Thar'uun fleet. The second figure's voice rolled like distant thunder. "You still remember what you did to us?" The elder bowed his head, but the taller being turned its focus back to Earth. "Humans, prepare yourselves. The war that ended before your son was born will begin again." The column of light expanded, and the two beings vanished into it. Moments later, the ocean returned to darkness, but the galaxy was forever changed. Rylan stood frozen, the words burning in his mind. This wasn't just about Earth anymore. This was about something far bigger. Something that even the oldest species feared. And for the first time, humanity wasn't on the sidelines.